In 1963, TAG Heuer heard the name Carrera. He was at a race in America, heard the name Carrera, and on returning to Switzerland, he immediately registered it. He thought it was a great name. And so the Heuer Carrera became a brand name, which has now become known to many, many watch collectors. Initially, the watch was a chronograph, and Jack was obsessed with readability. So some of the details on that watch, the inaugural Carrera, were just designed to augment readability. For example, there was a tension ring encircling the dial, and he basically decided to actually put markings on it. So rather than just being a functional element, he actually also made it now an aesthetic element, if you like, or a means of indicating time. The other thing about TAG Heuer was he was a great entrepreneur, and he, ultimately he's designed a watch that has become a legend. If you actually look at the Carrera, though, it hasn't always just been a chronograph. It started as a chronograph, but ultimately, like many things, the brand extended into other types of complication, and so it ultimately became a three-handed watch as well. Probably not as famous as the chronographs, but no, in my opinion, equally as valid. Beautiful watches. And if you look at the evolution of the design, it's been very, very subtle changes over the years. In more recent times, the chronograph was revisited last year in 2020. Very, very attractive overhaul, very subtle differences. But so those people who already had a Carrera probably wouldn't feel disenfranchised by this new model coming along. And now they've revisited the Three Hands this year in 2021. I've actually got one version here with me, which is called the Twin-Time. And it's when you look at it and when you feel it, you can actually feel the uplift in quality and the attention to detail. So for example, if you look at the hour and minute hands, they actually resemble those that were fitted on the 1969 Monaco. If you look at the indices, the hour markers, they're actually, when you look at them from above, they just look rectangular. But when you actually look at them from the side, they're stepped up, a bit like a podium, a winner's podium at the Olympics. So you sort of step up. And you've got this little narrow line running across. And then behind them, between the index and the flange, there's just a strip of superluminova just to actually augment readability. If you look at the bezel, it's highly polished. But if you actually look at the other parts of the case, you'll see sometimes satin brush, and it's the proximity and the trouble that they've gone to. So when you put two finishes together very close, that's more challenging, it's more expensive to do. Likewise, if you actually look, it just feels more luxurious. So the upper part of the lugs is highly polished. The case band is satin brushed. If you look at the bracelet, you've got both an interplay of polished and satin brush. And if you actually look at the central links, they're not all highly polished. They're sort of alternate between satin brush and polished. Whereas the side links, rows 1 and 3, are brushed. The Deployant is beautifully made. It's branded. It's got a nice folding clasp. It feels positive. Sapphire case back. If you look at the dial details and other things that you can see, they've actually arranged the date aperture at 6 o'clock. This is becoming more prevalent at TAG Heuer, and speaking to their creative director, Guy Beauvais, what they're trying to do is have this north-south arrangement so that the date aperture is at 6 o'clock. We have more symmetry than if we put it at 3 o'clock. On this one, it's a GMT, so we've got a third hand, which is actually showing the home time. So the local time is displayed with the dominant hour and minute hands, but the home hour is actually shown with the red triangular hand. And it's very neatly done. If you look at the flange, it's two colours. Basically, it's a 24-hour scale, indicates daytime hours and nighttime hours. If you look just at the base, just here, you've got this lovely gleaming work. And it's just little tiny details, and it's these tiny details that bestow sort of a sumptuous, luxurious feel. The bracelet has been thought through very carefully as well. The links are thinner for 2021, This is not trying to economize. What it does is it means that the bracelet articulates more easily, it envelopes the skin more readily, it confers superior wearer comfort. It feels, when you touch this watch, it feels so much better than the old one, in my opinion. But more than that, it feels a lot more than the asking price. I think this, from memory, is about 2.4, 2.5, something like that. It feels like it could be another £1,000, £1,500 more, and it would still stack up. It's a great watch, and I particularly like it. I think it's lovely. I do intend to look at more versions of the Carrera, but in recent times, TAG have just been knocking it out of the park. They're just coming out with great product. The Acca race earlier this year was brilliant, but this is probably one of my favourites of the year.